I'm not trying to chase every stock out there. In fact, I'm trying to keep it more simple now, and I've recently actually reduced my exposure to single stocks. But right now, these three companies I really believe in: AMD, Sofi and BYD. And here's why they've earned a spot in my portfolio. Before I dive in, just a quick note: as always, this is not financial advice, and I'm just sharing what I personally do and what I buy in my portfolio. So let's jump into my Trading 212 account. So currently, as you can see, my portfolio at the minute is sitting around 883 to be exact. So we're coming up on 6,000, so I'm pretty happy. And there's not loads and loads of progress, but I'm very happy with what I have done, and I'm not expecting to see massive rates of returns. And 24% I think is very good, and it's been a good time in the market recently. But the one I want to focus on today is actually my investment pie. So as you can see, my main pie is rather simple. This is mainly just a big ETF, some gold, some silver, and a JP Morgan growth fund, so that's where the majority of my money goes. I tried to put around 40 to 50% into this, and then the rest is split across income shares, investments, and quantum computing, which is a bit of a side project at the moment, but I want to focus on my investments. Now, these are the three companies that I'm really trying to put as much money into as I can at the moment, because I think they have such a possibility of having a big upside. And I've already been able to realise some of that potential, especially with Sofi. And AMD has also done really well recently. But Sofi, we'll jump into this one first. So the reason I brought into Sofi was actually, I wish I had brought in a bit sooner, but I brought in around the $13 mark. Recently, because I personally would like to DCA on all my investments. It's risen up slightly, and especially after the great earnings we had a few weeks ago now. But ultimately, very happy with Sofi. So I started investing in Sofi primarily because it was doing things different to how other banks do. So I actually got into Sofi just after recently seeing a video. It was from Ben's Finance, and he was talking about it, and he actually got in on AMD very, very early. So I like to listen to, especially Palantir, I think that's his main one. But I listened to a lot of his videos, and he was talking about how Sofi had now opened its horizons to including crypto. And that was around here just before there was a big spike. And then recently, the spike has been absolutely massive, and within just a few weeks I was already up 10-20%. And then there was a slight drop, but now we're back nearly at all-time highs, and I think this is just going to continue to grow, especially after the massive positive earnings we had a few weeks ago. Another reason why I'm still buying at the moment is because of things like this, which I see the other day, and it's actually that the Bank of America has just boosted its position by 65%, adding another 7.5 million shares. And that to me is a big flag and an indicator to say that this stock is going somewhere. So if I just quickly run through the feed here, there's a great graphic that I see. Here it is. So this was Sofi's earnings as well, and this is a real big indicator to me that this stock has only just started and it's got lots of room to grow. So on earnings, we actually beat the earnings per share by 36%, and revenue was up year on year 43%, which is just crazy amount of growth. And as you can see, the earnings per share actually did start out negative in Q3 of 2023, and we've slowly risen. And the latest earnings and portfolio, and the latest earnings are by far the best, and there's obvious growth. So now tech platform accounts have increased. Total members is up 34%, which is a big one. And the adjusted earnings per share is up 700% year on year. And expected revenue was also beaten by 7% as well. So that to me is a clear indicator that this stock is doing really well at the moment. So what I actually think is going to happen with Sofi for the meantime is a bit of a plateau now. I think we're going to sit between sort of bouncing around between $27 to $22 per share price. 22 to 27 share price, but then from then I can easily see this being added into the S&P 500 in a not too distant future, and then I can easily see share prices of 35-40%. The next one for me is AMD. So this is also done very well for me recently, and I actually brought in just slightly on the way up, a bit too late ideally, but I brought in at around the $116 mark, and again, because of dollar cost averaging, I'm now at an average price for $125. So obviously I don't hold loads in here. There's only £1,000 in the pie because I'm only 21, so I don't have loads of money to invest right now, but these are the three stocks I keep trying to get money into. So on this one I'm up 40%, £108, which is very good. I'm very happy with that. But the main reason for continually trying to invest into AMD is more because of the growth we've seen with Nvidia. Now AMD operates in a very similar field, as obviously many people know, and lately AMD's new MI400 chip has been seen to get a lot of attention, especially AI space and the data centers, which could be a huge market. There's also the opportunity for a big expansion in China, and the more we move towards AI and data centers, I'm using NVIDIA as a clear indicator of where the possible is in the market. And if AMD were able to outperform NVIDIA at any point, they could make a claim into that 4 trillion market cap. And obviously at the moment AMD currently only sits at a 288 billion market cap, whereas NVIDIA sits at over 4 trillion. So even if AMD could get 10% of that, it has lots and lots of room to grow. And I think NVIDIA and AMD are both good investments, and I actually do hold a small amount of NVIDIA in here as well. But ultimately, I think AMD is going to be the one that has the most growth over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. And over the time, I've recently learned that AMD over time, as you can see, tends to have highs and then fall away, and have highs and fall away. And it has the name known as the Advanced Money Destroyer, rather than Advanced Micro Devices. And that is something that I think is finally going to be broken, and that duct is now going to change. And I would like to say that I can see this price easily going up to $300 a share in the not too distant future. Another 5 to 10 years, I'm definitely holding this stock, and I currently think the prices are much, much lower than what they will be then. And this is supported by the fact that lots and lots of analysts are now moving AMD from a hold or a sell to a buy or a strong buy. And that to me is a clear signal that everyone believes that AMD could be on for sort of massive bullish growth. Finally, I have BYD. Now this is because of the rise of the EV car, and I believe BYD could have some huge technology advantages here when you compare it to the likes of Tesla. Now, I've only brought into this very recently, so the rate of return here is not ideal. I've lost 1.8%, but as you can see, that's just down to the Forex impact, which seems to be a bit of an issue currently. But overall, I'm very happy with this and think this is very, very cheap. As you can see, the market cap here is only 10 billion. And when you compare that to the likes of Tesla or other EV companies, there's lots of room here to grow. But why did I pick BYD specifically? In 2024, BYD sold over 4.27 million vehicles, which is more than 10 times what it sold in 2020. So that to me shows there's some clear growth. And it also become the top plug-in EV maker globally, now surpassing Tesla. It's vertically integrated and very efficient. It controls over 70 to 75% of its components in-house, from batteries to electronics, driving cost advantages and supply resilience. And this to me is another clear indicator that it's not just the brand or the car that is a key selling point here. It's the technology behind the car that could be really beneficial and used in other markets. The expansion of BYD has been very, very rapid. BYD now operates its own car carrying fleet, enabling faster exports to Europe, Brazil and Mexico. It's also now building factories overseas in Brazil, Hungary and Turkey to localise production, and this should see a vast increase in the uptake of BYD cars, especially now that EVs are becoming more and more popular. The financials behind BYD are also very, very interesting, and it's had record deliveries and increasing its margins with soaring profits have fueled more than a fourfold stock gain since 2020. So therefore, to me, I think this is still only the start, and I could easily see this going to $25, $30 price in the not too distant future. So overall, this pie is actually split just simply as almost a third, with Sofi having obviously that extra 1% just to make it equal to 100. But I intend to invest in this currently just for £15 a week, and when I have some lump sums or there's a clear drop down or downturn in the market, I try to lump sum a little bit in as and when I can. But overall, I'm up over 28% on this pie now, and in only a short amount of time, so it's already had some tremendous growth for me. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of these? And do you hold any of these? I'd be interested to know, especially about BYD, as I think that's a less common one to hold. But thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.